Well, first of all, hi everyone. I've been thinking about what I'm trying to do here for a long time, and it's kind of been taking shape for quite a while now. I've been teaching yoga and meditation in various places. More about that in a future video, my history, if you're interested in that. But it's enough to say for now that something that really comes across is a quite disturbing lack of depth and lack of clear direction in the average yoga school, the average level of teaching, I think, is quite aiming way too low, just to make you perhaps a bit healthier, perhaps just a little bit more like peaceful, and life is a bit better. Now, those things are great. Those things are really, really helpful and really important, and they're not bad aims, actually. I mean, of course, we all want to be more peaceful, and we do all wish to be more healthy, and these are things that we do need to work at. But something that really haunts me actually is the view of the ancient yoga tradition, which is a very old Indian tradition. And the view is that all these wonderful things that happen to us, all the health, even all the peace to a degree, at least the basic level of peace, all these things are considered by the tradition to be pleasant side effects. So rather than approaching yoga and meditation and all the breath work we might do, whatever we might do, rather than approaching it just to get the pleasant side effects, we can approach it in a way where we're actually heading towards something far more interesting. Now, what that is, I'll look at more as well as we go, but suffice to say right now, if you imagine perhaps the most amazing thing you've ever experienced, the most amazing pleasure, the most amazing moment you've had in your life, and then multiply that by maybe 20 or 30 times power. And then if you imagine having that incredible, intense, beautiful pleasure, physically, mentally, emotionally, imagine that going without stopping all the time, continuing on without stopping. This is the state that these traditions actually aim us toward. They aim us toward a sense of being completely happy in our lives as they are, no matter what they're like. And more so, they aim us in a direction toward really seeing what is actually happening in our life and in life in general. Basically, they change us completely. Now, along the way, the really cool thing is, even if you want all those things, you want to lose weight, you want to, have a bit more happiness, you want to get better at dealing with things, all those things happen by themselves to a degree anyway, if you point yourself in a far more interesting direction. There's an old saying that I really quite like. It's quite a cute little saying. Aim for the stars. You may not reach them, but you reach the moon, at least. So we may not reach full awakening or full enlightenment, as is often in the modern world called. But by pointing ourselves in that direction, we do actually find ourselves really taking steps toward a far more rich, beautiful life. So this program is really about that. This whole program, this way of working, this whole thing that I'm putting together here is trying to get us into a far more interesting way of engaging with these practices. Yeah, that's actually a really, really interesting question. Um, so having said that spiel about not getting stuck in the side effects, it's also important to know what the benefits are, because we are human beings living the modern life, and it's unrealistic to assume that we're not wanting to get something out of what we're doing. So very simply put, benefits in every aspect of life will happen. So let's call them the side effects of a yoga practice. The positive side effects, you've got better health, far more clarity mentally. You are able to, and this is a big one, you're able to really handle strong emotional situations when they arise far more skillfully. So, I have one of my pet issues that I come across a lot is anxiety. I have a lot of anxiety come up. And when I engage in my practice on a regular basis, the anxiety still is there, but it just, bizarrely enough, seems to be okay. It's like, it's even, perhaps you could describe it as, it's the same emotion, but the space around it is vast. So it just doesn't feel as important or as vital or really as compelling. So we become far better at handling emotions. We become much better at decision making. We do things like we can look at our life in the bigger picture. We can see from birth till now all the ways that we've kind of taken ways that are not directions that are not so helpful, and we bring ourselves back in line. We can work with our old traumas. There's so much. I mean, really, the benefits are manifold, and they range all the way from feeling a bit better about ourselves and in our bodies to this vast view of reality we couldn't even imagine before. I think that's pretty good, actually. So the question there is really, I guess, what do I do? What am I actually going to be doing by going along with this stuff? Well, many things we do. There's kind of different streams you'll be engaging with. There's what very simply, the asana stream. Asana is an old Sanskrit, the old language of India, old Sanskrit word that refers to a posture, that refers to yoga posture. So when we're talking about asana, we're talking about engaging physically. Actually, this is pretty much the modern face of yoga. What you see when you go to yoga studio, you go to a yoga class, you go to a vinyasa flow or a hatha, or you go to Ashtanga, whatever. That's asana. So that's asana practice. That's working with your body. And I'll introduce various principles and practices of asana. We'll look at a sense of building a practice in different modalities, flow, what's called more modern hatha. It doesn't really matter, but they're all different kind of streams leading in the same direction, building quite a strong and quite a helpful asana practice, and looking at it from the yoga tradition point of view, not just the modern point of view. So that's working with the body. We have the pranayama stream, which I'll introduce also right from the beginning. And ideally, you can either practice them sequentially, one after the other, or you can do them all at the same time, depending on how much time and interest you have. So the pranayama stream, we're looking at the ancient art of the breath, of working with the yogic breath. And there's many ways we can do that. There's all sorts of different techniques that use the breath as a way to extend our energy, wake us up, bring more life into our bodies, and bring more direction into our thinking. So pranayama practices are really crucial and really interesting and very quick to bring results in terms of peace and more happiness and more joy in life. And then we have the meditation stream. Meditation is another huge, vast field, and I draw from the yogic tradition of India, but I also draw from the Buddhist traditions of India and Tibet, and also to an extent Japan and China in my meditation practice and my teaching. So, and it kind of becomes something that joins up together. It's not based on religious principles. It's based on very practical principles of what we pay attention to and how we pay attention to it will really change our life experience. So meditation is probably the thing I find the most helpful in my life. And it's a tool that I keep getting more from. So we're looking at meditation as well. So there'll be some practices you'll be getting there. There'll also be some philosophy streams where you can listen to a talk, and then the practice is for a week or a few days. You try to kind of work in a quite practical way with those teachings. I'll always give you very clear things to do. Say we are looking at mindfulness, looking at the four foundations of mindfulness, a very old teaching. Buddhist philosophy, Patanjali yoga philosophy. Don't worry about those things yet. But say you're looking at that as an example. I might give you the task for the week to really work with awareness of the body in a very particular way, and then see how that goes. And then the next session will lead you into a little more depth in that teaching. So it's really up to you how far you go with it, but if you wanted to, you could follow all these streams and the other things I'll be adding. There's a lot more coming as well. You'll be following these streams at the same time, or you can just do them one after the other, or if you don't yet have interest in meditation, you can just for now work with the asana or just with the pranayama. There'll also be regular talks where I try to bring more the overview of the whole thing into play and to help us inform our practice. But engaging with the practice and the training simply means working in a variety, all or one of the streams to find continuing development towards something that is always interesting and rich and hopefully very helpful, even on a very daily practical level. So if you like this video and you're interested and would like to perhaps get to know a bit more of the content, then please just hit subscribe and you'll be fed the new information as it comes and arrives in this channel.